Welcome to yet another edition of the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard Show for the week of Friday, October 6th, 2017 or 2017. I'm your host, Walter Johnson, and on this edition of the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard Show, and we got a lot of light slate of games for this first weekend in October, but a lot of exciting games. And then, several teams from the Southwest Georgia Network coverage area came and struggled in the first half, but came from behind and got off the mat in the second half to win their games. And many of those wins were very, very huge. And not a whole lot of time to waste. So let's get started. Going to start in GHSA Region 1 AAA at Hugh Mills Stadium in Albany. And the Monroe Tornadoes took on the Dougherty Trojans in the region opener for both teams. And it was Monroe picking up the win over Dougherty, 29-19 the final score. And with the win, the Tornadoes snap a 4-game losing streak after winning their opener over Westover back on August 25th, 21-6. And Monroe goes to 2-4 overall, just the second win of the season for Monroe. But more importantly, Monroe improves to 1-0 in GHSA Region 1 AAA. And obviously, you can't take that first. You can't advance to the playoffs. You can't even advance to the playoffs. Never mind win a region championship unless you win that first region game. I mean, in order to get to the playoffs, you gotta take that first step and win your first region game, and that's exactly what Monroe did on Friday night. And they final score once again, Monroe 29, Dougherty 19. And see, Monroe didn't exactly play its best game of the season. But it's like the saying goes, a win is a win is a win. And it's a big one for Monroe. And next up for the Tornadoes. And they return to action next Friday, October 13th. Friday the 13th against the Crisp County Cougars, who had last week off after losing to Brooks County in a battle of undefeated teams, 31-21 the final score. Brooks County handing Crisp County their first regular season loss in nearly 2 years. And Crisp County had this week off, the week of October 6th. And as for Dougherty, the Trojan struggles continued. Now loses 4 in a row and make that 5 in a row. And Dougherty drops to 1-6 overall and fall to 0-1 in GHSA Region 1 AAA. And the Trojans are back in action, and as well as at Hugh Mills Stadium next Thursday against the Cook Hornets. And Dougherty loses 29-19 to Monroe at Hugh Mills Stadium on Friday night. And some 20-plus miles east of Albany in Sylvester, Georgia, the Worth County Rams tried to win their first game of the season, as well as under first-year head coach Ben Simmons, and taking on the Cook Hornets out of Adel, Georgia. And Worth County jumped out to a 13-0 lead in the first quarter. And for a while, it seemed like Friday night would be the night. Friday, October 6th would be the night for Worth County to finally get in the win column. But Cook had other ideas, and the Hornets rallied to tie the score at 19 apiece in the second half. And then they scored 21 unanswered points in the second half and pulled away for a 40-19 victory. And the second straight, and for Cook, it was the second straight win It was the Hornets' second straight win after starting 0-4. Cook gave Thomasville all can handle before losing 40-34 just a couple of weeks ago, and now the Hornets are on a roll, winning back-to-back games. And Cook came off a huge win over Early County, 49-13 last week on September 29th, and this week they go on the road, overcome a early 13-0 deficit, and defeated Worth County 40-19. And Cook will go to Hugh Mills Stadium next Thursday, October 12th, to take on the Dougherty Trojans. And then on Friday the 13th, October 13th, got Monroe playing host to Crisp County. And so two critical games in Region 1 AAA action at Hugh Mills Stadium. You can call it action times 2 at Hugh Mills Stadium next week. In GHSA Region 1 AAA, next Thursday, Cook comes to the Crater to take on Dougherty, and Monroe hosts Crisp County on the 13th, next Friday, Thursday and Friday, Hugh Mills Stadium. And for now, Cook and Monroe lead the region at 1-0. Both teams are 2-4 overall. But again, the most important numbers are, and you have to focus on, if you're a Cook or Monroe fan, you're both 1-0 in region play. Most important thing there right now. And looking at Monroe's remaining schedule, and they host Crisp County in the final regular season home game at Hugh Mills Stadium next week. And then after a bye week, they'll wrap up the regular season with road games at Worth County and Cook. And as for Dougherty, and they'll wrap up the season, regular season, with home games against Cook at Worth County, and then wrap up their regular season at Crisp County. So must-win games, must-win situations in all three of Dougherty's remaining games. And how about moving on to GHSA Region 1 AA and the region openers for Thomasville against Berrien down in Nashville, Georgia, while all the way toward the Alabama border in Blakely, Georgia, Early County took on Brooks County. And both Thomasville and Brooks County came in to Friday night's action undefeated at 5-0 overall. And both Brooks County and Thomasville are still undefeated. And Brooks County cruised to an easy 49-0 win over the Early County Bobcats, while Thomasville trounced Berrien 42-14 over in Nashville, Georgia, just east of I-75. And I'm going to say this right now. It would not surprise me if you were Brooks County or Thomasville and went into their game undefeated. And it would not surprise me one bit. And let's see. Brooks County. Well, Brooks County with the win goes to 6-0 overall and 1-0 in GHSA Region 1 AA. While Early County drops to 2-5 overall, 0-2 in GHSA Region 1 AA. And Brooks County has a bye next week, and they'll host Fitzgerald next week. And Thomasville at home on October 27th. And that game against Fitzgerald could be a potential trap game for Brooks County in just under 2 weeks on October 20th. And at least for head coach Maurice Freeman and company, they'll have that bye week to prepare for Fitzgerald. And the Purple Hurricanes will be at home later on Saturday night to face Rockdale County out of Conyers, Georgia, about 20, 30 plus miles east of Atlanta along Interstate 20. Rockdale County, however, will be making that long trip down to South Georgia to take on Fitzgerald. And then after the Brooks County Thomasville game, Brooks County will wrap up the regular season on the road against Berrien. And that could prove to be an important game for as far as playoff positioning. But yeah, first things first, still a lot of meaningful games left to be played. And as for Thomasville, their regular season, or many regular season games look this way. Home against Early County next week. And then they'll host Lawton Charles from just across the state line out of Tallahassee, Florida on October 20th. And that was the game to replace Albany High School. And Albany High was closed earlier this year, back in June, by the Dougherty County Board of Education by a 4-3 vote. And obviously not how Thomasville drew up their schedule, but it is what it is. And then October 20th, another potential trap for Thomasville, with Brooks, just as a game against Fitzgerald on Friday, October 20th, could be a potential trap game for Brooks County. Same thing with Thomasville for Lawton Charles. Don't know much about that team. Is in Tallahassee, Florida. And then after the Lawton Charles game, they'll make the short trip up along US Highway 84 to Quitman, Georgia to take on Brooks County. Then wrap up the regular season at home against Fitzgerald. And in Brooks County and Thomasville with their wins tonight, both set at 1-0 in GHSA Region 1AA, and both are teams are 6-0 overall. And Berrien drops to 1-1 in GHSA Region 1AA, and 4-3 overall with the loss to Thomasville, 42-14. Berrien loses to Thomasville. Berrien hosts Fitzgerald next week. And yeah, that's going to be a critical game. And after a bye week, they'll face Cook in a game that was rescheduled from September 15th due to Hurricane Irma. And then they'll wrap up the regular season at home against Brooks County. Now that just about every team is in region play, and the stakes only get higher and higher and higher. And moving on to GHSA Region 1 Single A. And how about that league had a couple of surprises on this Friday night, and both front runners in the region, Mitchell County and Pelham, had byes this week. And both the Mitchell County Eagles and Pelham Hornets are 5-1 overall, and they're tied for first place in GHSA Region 1 Single A at 5-0. And both of the losses for both Mitchell County and Pelham came against higher classification teams. And Mitchell County's only loss so far came in the season opener on August 26th, losing in the final minute to Dougherty at home, 18-14, back on August 26th of this year. While in Class AAA Dougherty, while the Pelham Hornets fell 35-28, just 8 nights earlier to Westover of Albany. The Class 4A Patriots of Westover from Albany, 35-28 the final score. Pelham falls 7 points short. And both teams have won 5 in a row since then. And Mitchell County returns to action with a road game against Seminole County. while Pelham returns home to face Randolph Clay next week. And as for the teams that were in action on this Friday night, it was Terrell County winning 28-12 over Stewart County, and Seminole County won easily over Calhoun County 43-15. And a couple of surprises, Baconton knocked off Randolph Clay 21-6. 21-6 in Baconton. The Blazers of Baconton Charter out of Baconton, Georgia, and just southeast of Albany along U.S. Highway 19. Had lost 4 in a row prior to tonight's win. And only the second win of the season against 4 losses for the Blazers. They're also 1-4 in GHSA Region 1 Single A. And a big win for head coach Randy Grace and Baconton Charter. And Randolph Clay and suffered a really bad loss, dropping to 2-4 overall and 2-3 in GHSA Region 1 Single A. And perhaps the big shocker there, the real shocker, Region 1 Single A, came down in Colquitt, Georgia, as Chattahoochee County pulled off the upset over. Actually, it was that game was played up in Casita, Georgia, just south of Columbus, and Fort Benning's not too far from the high school, as well as the town of Casita. And it was Chattahoochee County knocking off Miller County, 19-16, the final score. And both teams are now 3-3 overall. However, Chattahoochee County goes to 3-2 in GHSA Region 1 Single A, and Miller County falls to 3-3 overall, as well as in both 3-3. Miller County fell to 3-3 overall, as well as 3-3 in GHSA Region 1 Single A. And thanks to their 43-15 win over Calhoun County, Seminole County goes to 4-2 overall and 4-1 in GHSA Region 1 Single A. And Seminole County's win sets up a critical matchup next week against Mitchell County. And if Mitchell County can go down into Donaldsonville, Georgia, and leave there with a win over Seminole County, and Pelham can beat Randolph Clay, as long as Mitchell County and Pelham continue to win and do what they have to do, and it could come down to both of those teams, both the Mitchell County Eagles and the Pelham Hornets, for the GHSA Region 1 Single A title in Camilla back on November 3rd. But first things first, still have to take care of business in the 3 games you have prior to playing each other on November. And those teams still have to take care of business prior to playing each other on November 3rd in order to set up that winner-take-all matchup. And we got some and other scores from around the Southwest Georgia network coverage area. And starting in GHSA Region 17A, and just one team in Region 17A that was in action on Friday night, as the Lowndes Vikings ran their record to 7-0 on the season by running all over Mount Zion of Jonesboro. Final score 68-7. Lowndes with the victory. Lowndes 7-0 now, and Lowndes played Mount Zion of Jonesboro what was supposed to be their bye week, but of course Hurricane Irma disrupted the Lowndes' schedule still, and the Vikings managed to get the job done, winning easily 68-7. And that sets up a big matchup in Tifton, Georgia next week, as the Tift County Blue Devils play host to Lowndes, battle 7-0 teams, and it's also the GHSA Region 1-7A opener, and the first of three region contests to close out the 2017 regular season. But for now, I mean, Lowndes can celebrate another huge victory over Mount Zion of Jonesboro, 68-7. And as for the other team in the Valdosta area, the Valdosta Wildcats, the defending state champions, the defending GHSA Class 6A state champions, traveled up I-75, then took the 247 connector to Warner Robins, Georgia, to take on the Northside Eagles. And Valdosta actually trailed 3-0 in the second quarter, and then scored a touchdown at the extra point to lead 7-3 at the half. But the Eagles, to their credit, scored 13 unanswered points and pitched a shutout in the second half to win 16-7. And Northside of Warner Robins, with the victory, goes to 6-1 overall and start GHSA Region 1-6A play at 1-0. And Northside Warner Robins win, combined with Lee County's win over Houston County on the road in a shutout 34-0, sets up an early showdown for first place in GHSA Region 1-6A and GHSA Region 1-6A, I should say, as Lee County hosts Northside of Warner Robins. And that's coming up next week at McCall Talbert Stadium. So, and Coffee will go to Houston County in the other Region 1-6A matchup. And I think that should be one of the games of the week anywhere in the state next week. Northside of Warner Robins and Lee County. I'm sure Trojan Field in Leesburg is going to be filled up. It's like another one of those old sayings, and you can't get to the stadium early, you're probably not going to find a seat, or at least not a good seat. And Northside Warner Robins once again defeats Valdosta 16-7, 6 straight wins for Northside of Warner Robins since losing their opener to Warner Robins. And we move on to GHSA Region 1-5A. And speaking of those Demons, and they trailed 21-0 against Thomas County Central at the Jackets Nest on the campus of Thomas County High School, just on the outskirts of Thomasville, Georgia. But the Demons rallied to pull the win one late, and then the last second field goal helped the Demons defeat the Yellow Jackets 30-28. Final score: Warner Robins 30, Thomas County Central 28, and Warner Robins remains undefeated at 7 overall and start GHSA Region 1-5A play at 1-0. But the Demons had to work for that victory tonight. And as for Thomas County Central, despite a valiant effort, and the Yellow Jackets fall to 2-5 overall and 0-1 in GHSA Region 1-5A. And the other GHSA Region 1-5A contest pitted the Bainbridge Bearcats and the Veterans Warhawks out of Kathleen, Georgia. And that game was played at Freedom Field and near Warner Robins, right in Houston County. And it was Bainbridge bouncing back nicely from a tough loss to Rickards out of Tallahassee, Florida last week. And he opened Region 1-5A play on a winning note, winning 28-14 over Veterans. And most of GHSA Region 1-4A had this week off, including America's Sumter, Cairo, and Westover. And already mentioned Thomas in the Region 1AA games. In Brooks County, winning easily over Early County, 49-0, and Thomasville winning in almost convincing fashion over Marion, 42-14. And we're going to wrap up this edition of the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard by going to the GISA and the Deerfield Windsor Knights, coming off a huge win over previously undefeated Southland. And the Knights upset the Golden Raiders 20-17 last week. And this week they go on the road to tiny Chula, Georgia, just north of Tifton, and trounce Tift area 35-20. And the Knights are just 4-3 overall. And the Knights, with the win, go to 5-3 overall. But most importantly, perhaps even more important, they go to 2-0 in GHSA Region 1AA play. Yeah, big win. A big win for Deerfield Windsor and head coach Alan Lowe. And Deerfield Windsor next up for the Deerfield Windsor Knights. A big game next Friday against Valwood out of Valdosta. And Valwood falls to Southland Academy 16-6. And Southland bounces back nicely from that tough upset loss at Deerfield Windsor and goes to 7-1 overall and 2-1 in GHSA Region 3 AAA with one game to play. A home game against Brookwood next week. Brookwood, Thomasville, Georgia. And Southland wins 16-6 over Valwood. And Valwood came off a 27-0 shutout win on the road over Brookwood of Thomasville, and had last week off. And the Valiants came back this week and struggled to a 16-6 loss. And Valwood trailed 2-0, and then 9-0 during the first half. And the Golden Raiders held on for a 16-6 win, and the loss drops Valwood to 4-3 overall and 1-1 in GISA Region 3 AAA. GISA Region 3 AAA. And again, they got a big game next week. Deerfield Windsor playing host to Valwood. And Deerfield Windsor playing host to Valwood. It should be a critical game next week. 5-3 overall and 2-0 in GISA Region 3 AAA against the Valwood Valiants, or 4-3 and 1-1 in GISA Region 3 AAA. And should be so. And last but not least, in the Southwest Georgia Academy Warriors from Damascus, Georgia, picked up a convincing win over Patala Charter out of Edison, Georgia, in a non-region contest between GISA school that was SGA and Patala Charter, competing in GHSA Region 1 Single A. Final score Southwest Georgia Academy 60, Batala Charter nothing, 60 to nothing, 60 to 0, 6-0 for Southwest Georgia Academy Charter. And on that note, that's going to end an abbreviated edition of the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard Show with your host, Walter Johnson. And remember to follow the Southwest Georgia Network on Twitter at SWGA Network. And also, once you get to the Twitter page at SWGA Network, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And just click the red rectangular button to subscribe. And then once you click subscribe, there will be a dark gray bell. You'll see a dark gray bell, a small dark gray bell. And then you click on that bell to subscribe. Thank you for listening. And have a good weekend. Stay safe out there.